Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me Vansh Arora and welcome to the economics class and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we will be winding up our unit 4, that is government budget. So it is the last part of our video. So in this video we will be covering the last topic of government budget. In the previous section we have just completed the receipt portion and the expenditure portion, and in this video we will be gonna study that what is the situation if the expenditure is high and the receipts is low. Like for example, you are spending more but you are having very less, and now you will say how. जैसे आपके पास 100 रुपए हैं and you are spending 120 rupees. So what will the situation is called? इसको क्या कहते हैं? So let's have a look. So the first topic is measures of government budget deficit. What is deficit? Deficit means होते हैं कमी, deficiency. ठीक है, हम कहते हैं डेफिशिएंसी हो रखी है, किसी चीज की कमी हो रखी है, तो इट इज व्हाट डेफिसिट इज. ठीक है, तो बजट डेफिसिट अगर हम बात करें कि बजट डेफिसिट हो रखा है, इट मींस दैट वी आर हैविंग लेस अमाउंट विद अस बट वी आर स्पेंडिंग मोर अमाउंट देयर. हाउ इट कैन बी पॉसिबल दैट वी कैन स्पेंड मोर अमाउंट? It is possible we can use our savings, we can use the profits of the previous month, we can use the returns which we are getting from various investment proposals and various other sources. Like if we are not having enough of receipts with us, but we are spending much there, so it means we are in the deficit condition. Deficit conditions are basically three types. First is revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, and primary deficit. So first let's go into the definition of budgetary deficit. So the definition says is it defined as the excess of total estimated expenditure over the total estimated revenue. कि total हमने जितना खर्चा estimate किया है उसके ऊपर कितना हमारे पास रेवेन्यू आ रहा है, उसके मेजरमेंट को कहेंगे. अगर फॉर एग्जांपल हमारा एक्सपेंडिचर है 150 रुपीज, ठीक है, एंड वी आर हैविंग रिसिप्ट्स ओनली ऑफ 100 रुपीज, so the excess amount, the 50 rupees excess amount is the deficit amount which we want but we are not having अभी. ठीक है, तो जब गवर्नमेंट ज्यादा खर्च कर देती है और उतना उनसे कलेक्ट नहीं होता, then it says that it is a condition of budgetary deficit. I hope यहाँ तक आपको सब कुछ क्लियर हुआ होगा. So let's come on to the three types of budgetary deficit. Number one is the revenue deficit, number two is the fiscal deficit, and number three is the primary deficit. So here's the number one, revenue deficit. What is revenue deficit? Revenue deficit is concerned, as the name suggests, it concerned with the revenue things only. The things of revenue nature, revenue receipts and revenue expenditure. If there is an excess of revenue expenditure over the revenue receipts, then it is known as the condition of revenue deficit. If we are having more of revenue expenditure with respect to revenue receipts, then we can say we are in the condition of revenue deficit. So revenue deficit signifies that the government own revenue is insufficient to meet the expenditure of the government departments. कि उसे खुद का revenue इतना ज्यादा है नहीं कि वो खर्चे उठा सके. ठीक है, तो in the revenue deficit column we can say that it signifies that the government has not enough revenue with them to fulfill its expenditure of various departments. So if I take it mathematically in the formula way, so we can say revenue deficit is equals to the revenue expenditure minus the revenue receipts. Is it clear to everyone? Do you are having any doubt here? Revenue deficit clear हुआ कि है क्या चीज? Because हमें ये तीनों ही deficits को डिटेल में आज कंप्लीट करना है. इनका इम्प्लीकेशन भी पढ़ेंगे. व्हाट इज इम्प्लीकेशन? इम्प्लीकेशन मींस कि अगर रिवेन्यू डेफिसिट होता है तो व्हाट द सिचुएशन डिमांड्स, सिचुएशन कैसी रहेगी, हम रिवेन्यू डेफिसिट को कैसे डील कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या होगा, तो इट इज द इम्प्लीकेशन. ठीक है, तो नाउ लेट्स कम टू द इम्प्लीकेशन ऑफ रिवेन्यू डेफिसिट फर्स्ट. सो इम्प्लीकेशंस आर, number one, it says it indicates the inability of the government to meet its regular and recurring expenditure in the proposed budget. कि ये दिखा रहा है कि आप जो बजट प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं फ्यूचर के लिए, जो बजट प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं उसमें साफ साफ नजर आएगा आपको कि गवर्नमेंट इज अनएबल टू मीट इट्स रेगुलर एंड रेकरिंग एक्सपेंडिचर, कि अपने रेगुलर और रेकरिंग एक्सपेंडिचर को फुलफिल करने में नाकाम है. ठीक है, एंड नेक्स्ट the implication says that the government is saving, the government is using up their savings and other sectors of economy to finance its expenditure. कि गवर्नमेंट अब अपनी सेविंग्स को यूज कर रही है. अगर revenue deficit की सिचुएशन में वो जी रही है, it means that they are just saving, they are using their savings in fulfilling the expenditure of various government departments. वेरियस डिपार्टमेंटल एक्सपेंडिचर को फुलफिल करने के लिए वो अपनी सेविंग्स को इस्तेमाल कर रही है, मतलब वो डिस सेविंग कर रही है। नंबर 3, इट मींस दैट द गवर्नमेंट हैज टू मेक अप दिस डेफिसिट फ्रॉम कैपिटल रिसिप्ट्स। हो सकता है कि अब ये रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट को फुलफिल करने के लिए उसको कैपिटल रिसिप्ट, जो कैपिटल नेचर का था, जो नॉन रिकरिंग नेचर का, जो पैसे हमारे पास आ रहे थे, जो रिसिप्ट्स हमारे पास आ रहे थे कैपिटल नेचर के, उनको यूज करना पड़ेगा। ठीक है। एंड नंबर 4 says that use of capital assets for meeting the extra consumption expenditure leads to inflationary situation in the country। अब होगा कैसे? आप ज्यादा पैसा खर्चा कर रहे हो, आप ज्यादा पैसा मार्केट में उतार रहे हो, तो आपने मनी बैंकिंग की यूनिट में ही सीखा है ना कि इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ जाता है जब मनी सप्लाई बढ़ जाएगा तो। ठीक है। तो अगर आप कैपिटल रिसिप्ट का भी पैसा यूज कर रहे हो in fulfilling the expenditure of the public, of the various departments, तो आप क्या कर रहे हो कि आप मनी का सप्लाई बढ़ा रहे हो इकोनॉमी के अंदर। एंड इफ यू आर इंक्रीजिंग द सप्लाई ऑफ मनी इन द इकोनॉमी, इट मींस दैट यू आर इंक्रीजिंग द इन्फ्लेशन रेट आल्सो। तो उसके लिए फिर एक अलग से मेजर्स लेने पड़ेंगे, एक अलग से मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी के साथ खेलना पड़ेगा। Any doubt till of here? Any doubt? Now coming to the next one, that is a high or a huge revenue deficit gives a warning signal to the government to either curtail its expenditure। अगर revenue expenditure ही बढ़ गया, अगर revenue deficit ही बढ़ रहा है मेरे पास, इससे मुझे साफ साफ नजर आता है कि गवर्नमेंट बहुत एक डेंजर सिचुएशन में है, एक क्रिटिकली फेज में चल रही है, जिससे क्या हो रहा है कि उसको अपने एक्सपेंडिचर को अब कर्टेल करना पड़ेगा, मतलब कम करना पड़ेगा। इट इज अ हाई टाइम टू कट डाउन देयर एक्सपेंडिचर, बिकॉज अगर रेवेन्यू नेचर की ही चीजें फुलफिल नहीं हो पा रही है तो इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू फुलफिल द अदर थिंग्स एज वेल। ठीक है, क्योंकि रेवेन्यू इट मींस रिकरिंग इन नेचर, वही फुलफिल नहीं कर पा रहे, जो रोजमर्रा के खर्चे हैं वही पूरे नहीं कर पा रहे, तो व्हाट इट डज, इट शोज दैट द गवर्नमेंट इज इन वेरी डेंजरस सिचुएशन। And the last is reduce government expenditure should take serious steps to reduce its expenditure and avoid unproductive and unnecessary expenditures। अब गवर्नमेंट को क्या करना पड़ेगा, अपने खर्चे कम करने पड़ेंगे, अनप्रोडक्टिव खर्चा खत्म करना पड़ेगा, और जो खर्चा रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है बट स्टिल दे आर incurring it just to the betterment of the situation or either something else, तो वो अनप्रोडक्टिव थिंग्स को हमको अवॉइड करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज इट विल नेवर गिव अस अ बेटर आउटकम आउट ऑफ इट। And if it is not giving us a better outcome, so then we have to avoid it, we have to curtail it, we have to cut down it। Got it? Any doubt till here? Any doubt in the revenue deficit, its implications or its meaning or in the formula? If you feel any doubt, you can drop down in the comment section freely, don't hesitate to ask any doubt। Okay, so let's come on to the second type of deficit, that is the fiscal deficit। फिस्कल वर्ड मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया था, फिस्कल वर्ड इज रिलेटिंग टू द बोरिंग्स, टैक्सेस, सब्सिडीज एंड ऑल दी स्टफ। ठीक है, सो फिस्कल डेफिसिट occurs when the government total expenditure exceeds the revenue। अब हम बात नहीं कर रहे रेवेन्यू की, अब हम बात नहीं कर रहे कैपिटल की, अब हम सीधा सीधा साफ साफ अक्षर में बोल रहे हैं कि जब गवर्नमेंट के टोटल रिसिप्ट्स कि जहां जहां से भी वो पैसा कमाने वाली है, जितना पैसा वो कमाने वाली है, जब पैसा कम पड़ जाए और खर्चे ज्यादा हों, अब खर्चे जहां मर्जी कर रही हो, वो रेवेन्यू नेचर के कर रही हो, नॉन रेवेन्यू नेचर के कर रही हो, वो कैपिटल नेचर के कर रही हो, इट डजंट मीन। आई एम जस्ट सेइंग if the total expenditure of the government exceeds the total receipts of the government, then it is a situation of fiscal deficit, excluding the money from borrowings। We are not counting the money that we are taking from borrowing money from someone else, or taking loan from someone else, we are not considering that under this। ठीक है। Fiscal deficit presents more comprehensive view of budgetary tools for explaining and understanding the budgetary development in India। Fiscal deficit को एक बहुत अच्छा comprehensive tool माना जाता है, क्योंकि इसमें टोटली हम काउंट कर रहे हैं, टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर्स काउंट कर रहे हैं सारे नेचर के, टोटल रेवेन्यूज काउंट कर रहे हैं सारे नेचर्स के, कहां से आ रहे हैं सारे रिसिप्ट्स। ठीक है। And the extent of fiscal deficit is an indication of how the government is spending beyond its means। कि यहां से हमको ये बिल्कुल साफ साफ पता चल जाएगा कि गवर्नमेंट कहां से कितना पैसा कमा रही है, and how much they are spending more through their means, कि भाई जितना पैसा आ रहा है उससे कितना एक्स्ट्रा वो खर्च कर रहे हैं। दिस होल फिस्कल डेफिसिट विल टेल अस द सिचुएशन। क्लियर यहां तक? ठीक है। तो फिस्कल डेफिसिट का इफ आई गो इन द फॉर्मूला, इट शोज दैट द टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर माइनस द टोटल रिसिप्ट्स excluding the borrowings, this is the one formula। And then in another formula we can just say that it is the equivalent value to the borrowings। Fiscal deficit is equal to borrowings। You will be getting a numerical question in the examination that there you have to find the revenue deficit, either the fiscal deficit, either the third one। So these are the formulas that you have to use there and you have to find there। So if you are finding fiscal deficit and you are given the total expenditure and the revenue and capital receipts separately, So don't add it up if you are having borrowings with you, because fiscal deficit must be equal to the borrowings amount. So you can just shortly write in the particular way. But if the borrowing is not given to you directly, so don't try to find it. Just do total expenditure minus total receipts in that particular case. Clear? So now let's come to the implications of fiscal deficit. The number one says fiscal deficit indicates the total borrowing requirement of the government. कि भाई अब ये दिखाएगा कि भाई कितना खर्चा एक्स्ट्रा करना है। तो देखो हमने सारे रिसिप्ट्स को तो कंसिडर कर लिया इसके अंदर कि जहां जहां से पैसा आ सकता है, जहां जहां से पैसा आ रहा है, दे हैव कंसिडर ऑल द सोर्सेज इन दिस, राइट। तो जब हमने सब कुछ कंसिडर कर दिया, इट मींस दैट कि वी आर नॉट गेटिंग एनी मोर अमाउंट। ठीक है, हमारी कमाई और नहीं है और खर्चे अब हम कंसिडर करेंगे टोटल सारे के सारे। तो जो भी बीच में गैप आने वाला, जो भी डेफिशिएंसी बीच में आने वाली, उसको फुलफिल करने के लिए हमको अब उधार ही लेना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज दिस इज ओनली द लास्ट ऑप्शन लेफ्ट। ठीक है, तो जो पैसा हमको उधार पे लेना है, तो वी कैन से दैट इट टेल्स अस द टोटल बोरिंग रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट। बोरिंग नॉट ओनली रीपेमेंट ऑफ प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट बट ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्स द पेमेंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट। ठीक है, ये नहीं कि आपको सिर्फ प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट यू हैव टेकन, यू हैव टू रीपे दैट ओनली, यू हैव टू पे द इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट ऑल्सो। ठीक है, वही एक ऑब्लिगेशन हमारे पास आती है जब हम लोन लेते हैं, जब हम बोरिंग करते हैं। नंबर टू सेज गवर्नमेंट मेनली बोरो फ्रॉम रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया टू मीट इट्स फिस्कल डेफिसिट, की गवर्नमेंट जो है हमेशा आरबीआई से ही लोन लेती है टू मीट इट्स फिस्कल डेफिसिट। एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो बोरो फ्रॉम द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड व्हिच रेजेस इट्स डिपेंडेंसी ऑन द कंट्री, की गवर्नमेंट क्या करती है, बाकी की देशों से भी उधार लेती है, व्हिच रेजेस इट्स डिपेंडेंसी ऑन देयर कंट्री। ठीक है, कि भाई उन कंट्री पे भी हमारी डिपेंडेंसी फिर नजर आ जाती है कि भाई हमको उनसे पैसे लोन लेना पड़ता है, हमें उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट है। इट शोज द बैड इम्पैक्ट of our nation if we are taking loan from any other nation. ठीक है, बोरिंग ऑल्सो इंक्रीजेस द फाइनेंशियल बर्डन। ऑब्वियस सी बात है कि बोरिंग आप लेंगे तो आपका फाइनेंशियल बर्डन इंक्रीज होगा, बिकॉज नाउ यू हैव टू रीपे इट एंड यू हैव टू पे द इंटरेस्ट ऑब्लिगेशन ओवर इट, सो इट automatically increases your financial burden. Got it? So these are the implications of fiscal deficit. Guys, the implications of each and every deficit is very, very important from exam point of view, because you will be getting the short direct question in your exam in which you have to write the implications of any of the kind of a deficit that you are studying here. You have to first explain the deficit, you have to write the formula of it, and you have to explain the either 2, either 3, either 4. It depends on the marks of the question, the implications of the particular deficit. Okay, so now let's come to the third deficit, that is, now before coming to the third deficit, it is the sources of financing fiscal deficit. कि भाई अब आपने जो fiscal deficit की situation आपने face करी है, so from where you can source it out, from where you can solve it, from where you can raise the funds now. So number one, you know, obviously the borrowing, कि अब आप सिर्फ उधार ले सकते हैं, and number two is deficit financing. Very important terminology here, mark it important, give it a star mark. Deficit financing. What does this mean? It means that the government may borrow from RBI against its securities to meet the fiscal deficit. RBI issues new currency for this purpose. अब क्या करना होगा हमको कि हमारा जो गवर्नमेंट है, if they want to ask, if they want to raise money from the RBI, so they are just giving its securities to the RBI in the form of either collateral, and they are raising money from the RBI to meet its fiscal deficit. And in that case, RBI is issuing new currency for this purpose. Clear? Deficit financing clear? Okay, what is deficit financing? Deficit financing is the way in which the government borrow money from the RBI against its securities, and in that particular case, the RBI issues new currency for this particular purpose. This is known as deficit financing. And the number one source of financing the fiscal deficit is borrowings. So here's the last deficit, that is the primary deficit and its implications. It indicates how much of the government borrowing are going to meet expenditure other than. कि now we can say that कि government की borrowing लेने के बाद कितना खर्चा हमारे पास extra उठ रहा है. ठीक है, it indicates how much of the government borrowing are going to meet the expenditure other than. It indicates the interest payments. It is a difference between the fiscal deficit and primary deficit. It shows the amount of interest payment on the government made in past. ठीक है, the formula is primary deficit is equals to fiscal deficit less than the interest payment. So in India, we can say that interest payment have considerably increased in the recent year, because it is increasing day by day. The interest rates are getting more and more day by day, and higher interest payments on the past borrowings have greatly increased the fiscal deficit. क्योंकि अब हमको पिछले borrowings के ऊपर interest payment करने, जिससे हमारा fiscal deficit बढ़ रहा है. So to to reduce the fiscal deficit, interest payment should be reduced through the repayment of the loan as early as possible. कि अगर हमको अपनी वो fiscal deficit को control में रखना है, अपने interest obligations खत्म करना है, so we have to pay our principal amount, we have to pay our loan timely, as earlier as possible. We have to pay it. If we have to maintain our fiscal deficit, we have to reduce our fiscal deficit. So this is what primary deficit means. So let us take a quick revision of all of it. In the first, we have studied about the budgetary deficit, which means that you are having more of expenditure in respect of your receipts. And then we have studied about the three types of deficit. Number one was revenue deficit. It means that you are having more of the revenue expenditure over the revenue receipts. And the second type is the fiscal deficit, in which we have said that you are having more of the total expenditure in respect of the total receipts that you are getting, excluding of the borrowings. Or in other words, we can say that the fiscal deficit is same and it is equivalent to the borrowing amount. And in the third one, we are just studying about the primary deficit now, where we have seen that the government borrowings are going to meet the expenditure other than, like it indicates the interest payment. Like if we have to reduce our fiscal deficit, we have to just repay our loan to reduce the interest obligation timely or as earlier as possible. So this is all about the various types of deficit that we are having. So now here's a question, or here's a type, we can say that here's a typical question that can be asked in your examination, like how to classify expenditure as revenue or capital. We have studied about the expenditure portion in the previous session, and there we have just studied about revenue and capital expenditure both. So now we are getting how can we classify it as revenue or capital. So an expenditure is a capital expenditure if it either creates an asset or reduces the liability. In the previous session, I have told you that the capital expenditure are that kind of expenditure which either creates an asset, कि हमारा कोई asset create करेगा, or reduces the liability of us. Either it is creating an asset or either it is reducing a liability. If it is so, then that particular expenditure will be known as capital expenditure. And on the other hand, we are having a revenue expenditure. So an expenditure will be considered as revenue expenditure if it neither creates any asset and nor reduces any liability. If it is not creating any asset of us and nor reducing any liability of us, then it is known as, and it comes under the heading of revenue expenditure. Now let's take an example here. Number one is subsidies. Does subsidy creates any asset of yours? क्या गवर्नमेंट का कोई एसेट क्रिएट करेगी सब्सिडी? नो. क्या कोई लाइबिलिटी है सब्सिडी देना? इज इट रिड्यूसिंग अ लाइबिलिटी? इज इट योर लाइबिलिटी टू पे सब्सिडीज टू द जनरल पब्लिक? नो. So it means that in this situation, the subsidies will be considered as a revenue expenditure because it is not creating any asset of yours and not reducing the liability of yours. Is it clear? Coming to the next one, that means that defense capital equipments purchased from Germany. That you have purchased defense equipments from Germany. So it means that you have created your asset. The defense equipment will be considered as your asset. So this kind of expenditure will be considered as a creation of your asset. So it means that it is a kind of capital expenditure. Very nice. And the third one is grants given to state government. In this, you have just given some amount to the state government, either as a loan or either as a grant. So in this, is it reduces your liability? No. Is it creates your asset? No, it is not your asset because it is a grant. It is a kind of thing. It is not considered as a loan because it does not create any asset for yours. It is not just like a loan and advances. Don't confuse between them. Okay, so grants given to a state government, it neither creates your asset nor reduces your liability. So it means that it is a kind of revenue expenditure. It is a kind of revenue expenditure. Is it clear till of now? Any doubt that you are facing? You can drop down your doubts in the comment section if you have any in any of the video. There is no way of getting hesitated in asking doubt. Don't hesitate. Just ask. So this is all about our today's session. We have just winded up the unit 4 as well in the government budget. So till of now, we have completed 3 of the units and all the videos are there in the channel as well. So do go on the playlist of the class 12 macroeconomics and do like all the videos, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates on our channel. So if you face any doubt, if you want any suggestions like we have that we can change our teaching method or any other method, Kindly let us know and drop your suggestions in the comment section as well. So stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned with the channel. And in the next video, we will be starting our next unit, that is balance of payments, BOP. So thank you so much for watching this video. Do share it with your friends and teach them the class 12 macroeconomics. Make your own notes and score 40 on 40 in your macroeconomics. So thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.